The terrible attack on October 7th, almost 2.5 weeks ago. The so-called radical jihadists, which are not true jihadists in the spiritual struggle, but radical terrorists. These evil terrorists did terrible things on so-called Israeli soil to innocent civilians, murdering innocent men, women, and children, burning down people's homes, kidnapping innocent men, women, and children, raping of women, is a terrible thing. The Israeli state, so-called Israeli government, strikes back. A rightful retaliation, so it seems, in the beginning.
If you are in a position to do so safely, you can explain to us what we're happening. If you are not in a position to do so safely, then please get to safety.
This is a missile attack on Palestine Tower, right in the middle of Gaza City.
We now know that Hamas is threatening to execute an Israeli civilian hostage every time that an airstrike hits Gaza civilians in their homes without warning.
Slaughtering families in their homes, massacring hundreds of young people at an outdoor festival. Are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
Sounds of sirens filled the streets of Gaza. Residents surged through the debris to look for those trapped. Israeli strikes have been targeting the territory following deadly terror attacks on Israel by Hamas militants, which have killed hundreds of people, including children and civilians.
Without warning. They hit us without any warning. It was an F-16 plane. There was no warning, nothing. And you can see the destruction. Look for yourself. No warning. May God help us.
Burials have begun, with women and children among those killed.
What's happening to the people of Gaza is unfair. By God, it's unfair. Young men, children, boys, women, all of them are gone.
In the Northeast, a pro-Palestinian demonstration at Brooklyn College. And at Columbia University, massive crowds as supporters of both Israel and Palestinians held competing protests.
As the Israel and Hamas war continues to play out in front of the world, many are now angrily speaking up. For the last several months, Dave Chappelle has been touring the United States in celebration of his 50th birthday with a brand new stand-up set. On Thursday and Friday, a part of these newest dates, Chappelle appeared at the TD Garden in Boston for a pair of sold-out shows, where he would, for the first time publicly, address the ongoing war between Israel and Palestine. And this is when the show would take a turn, as his comments would receive immense criticism from some of those in attendance. According to the Wall Street Journal, during the show, Chappelle would criticize the United States for supporting Israel's war crimes against Palestine. Chappelle's criticism would lead to an audience member heckling him, telling Chappelle to shut the F up. Reporter for the Wall Street Journal, Sabrina Siddiqui, who did not attend the show herself, summarized several accounts of that night. On Saturday, Siddiqui tweeted, "Here's how it went down." Per attendees, Chappelle condemned the October 7th Hamas attacks, but said it was wrong for the students to lose job offers over their support for Palestine. This prompted an audience member to shout, "Shut the F up, Dave." This is what triggered more of a reaction from Chappelle. According to attendees, he said the Hamas attacks were not an excuse to cut off water, electricity, etc., or commit war crimes. Some people in attendance cheered and shouted, "Free Palestine," while others yelled, "What about Hamas?" A couple of attendees say Dave also said "Free Palestine," but those in the crowd say they did not hear him say that. Later in his show, Chappelle said of the October 7th attacks and the Israeli government's Gaza siege that two wrongs don't make a right. Reach for comment, a Chappelle spokeswoman said he denies being in Boston last night. Unfortunately, because Chappelle forces attendees of his show to lock up their phones and pouches, there is no recorded video or audio footage of this incident. According to reports, Chappelle's stance on Israel would cause several walkouts during this portion of the set.
Lebanon's Hezbollah has been engaged with Israel along the border for more than a week now, since the war against Gaza began. But that cross-border exchange of fire has been largely limited.
Hot mess in the Middle East right now. Father have mercy. You should pray for the majority of innocent civilians on both sides of Palestine and Israeli soil.
Yes. Shalom, Chavarim. Shalom. This is Yadin. Sometimes the Israelite name Yadin ben Kushi, Yadin ben Kushi, Yadin ben Chayil, a.k.a. also known as Ras Ayadonis Tafari, and affectionately among the Talmudim, the Chavarim, Rastafari Rabbi. But here, brothers and sisters, this is to share a word on a situation that has been going on for almost, I think, the past 2 or so Sabbaths, Shabuas, since the Simchat Torah. Simchat Torah. We had a beautiful podcast. You can check it out on the Rastafari Israelites. Going back to Simchat Torah, the joy of Yah law, directions, instructions, Torah. And that's the time they said the Hamas, it was news announced that Hamas had made an attack against what's called the state. And I refer to it like this because, just in the reality, not whether we agree or disagree, because ones will understand exactly where we stand as Rastafari Yehudim, as Rastafari Jews, a.k.a. Rastafari Israelites, of the LOJ, the Lion of Judah Society of His Majesty. Now, first thing I want to heal up a couple of ones and ones and ones. I say host, Just Vibes, and Ross Seymour. Heal him up also, Ross Obadiah, duly elected first international vice president, as well as Ross Elijah Tafari of Run. Reform United Nations Now. Reform United Nations Now. Look up Run, RUNN. A few of our associates and, fellow Talmudim. So we haven't really gone into that, but it says more than a television event, Fauda is also a political event. Now it's interesting that the politics that are highlighted within this series, there's when you get that so-called they say feeling, but you really get that perception even higher than the feeling. You perceive something like, wait, this seems to be like that. Right? Much more than a successful action drama, it's authentic, honest, and painful. And so we were advised by some of our fellows, like to take it easy on this content here. Now, it took a couple of Sabbaths about this bit, the second or so Sabbath here, right? Going on the second Sabbath where we're beginning to kind of articulate, about the most recent event. And I'm going to call this video, We Cry for Afro. We cry for Afro Palestinians and Afro Israelis. We had shared a meme about a Shavua ago, about a week, 7 days or so ago, on the WhatsApp link, social media. For ones and ones that want to link forward, feel free to email Rastafari Jews. Rastafari, regular spelling, full spelling, Rastafari, one word Jews, JEWS at Gmail. We like to follow up and on our platform on Rastafari Israelites, where we share some of the live stream, the Torah, going through the Torah, but we want to open up so we can begin to have, real time reasonings, and just vibes amongst I and I, So that's coming forward. Hopefully, Yah willing, enough is going on. And I really pray for Yah to guide, the Chaverim, the fellows, called Beit Yisrael, all of, the house of Israel. When I say the house of Israel, I am mainly speaking, firstly about ethnic Israel. We the so-called black Yehudi, black Jews of the line of the tribe of Judah, also our Afro-Israelite community, those from west to east, right, and from north, and central to south, who are part of the, we could say, the covenant keeping community, Torah observant community particularly. But this is very interesting because the picture Fowler painted is relevant, exact, and thrilling, sparks the imagination and left much to think about. And now, more please. There's so much to think about in this, and it's kind of hard to not think that this does not affect much of the political, drama that's going on even presently, over there in the state of Israel, in the Levant, right, and in occupied lands. An almost perfect depiction of the insane entanglement. You hear those words? Insane entanglement of the Israeli or the Ureli, right? The Eurosareli. This is to say the Euro. This is largely led by the U.S., the state of Israel. And to think of the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, right? The King of Kings, anointed king upon the throne of David, as we the black Jews, the commandment keepers, right? Congregation of Living God, Elohim Hayim community, even so we still acknowledge that role, that connection of the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, right? Within our historical, we could say, development here, even coming up and out of that enslavement and slavery, or the curses for disobedience, biblically, scripturally. But there is an insane entanglement that's going on. Nuance undetectable by foreign eyes. You see what it says, with nuances undetectable by foreign eyes? And I have to say this right here. I got to thank Brother Abdio, Ben Levy, Brother Zion Lex for his presentation. It reminded me, I said, Chan, I had circulated that. I'm sure others probably maybe picked up on that. And I specifically said the Afro-Palestinians. And then in listening to some of his presentation, along with Jabari Osaze, it was very historical, thought out, and really he highlighted the Afro-Palestinian, right? The Afro-Palestinians. Most of us don't even understand the connection of the Afro-Palestinians, right? And many of the Afro peoples, to say like the African peoples, continental African peoples, their connection on both sides, right, of this particular struggle. This is why we say we cry for the Afro, right? The Afro-Palestinians and the Afro-Israelites. If the Afro-Palestinians and Afro-Israelites were leading, like within even the negotiations and communications, right, and had, the so-called world and international community behind us, there would be peace, right, in the so-called, since World War II, that is, Middle East. But the nuances that are undetectable by foreign eyes, this series really brings it out. If one is able to watch it and also enjoy it, but pick up on certain things, take note of certain things. The use of both Israel's official languages, speaking about both the Arabic, Palestinian Arabic, as well as, the modern Hebrew. Wonderful acting, smart writing, right, into a first-rate action thriller. And there is a lot of interesting action on both sides.